You know it's going to be good when you've got a 7-byline story covering Elon Musk's government handouts. My name is Brittany Page, and this is the Page Perspective. After this story, I hope we can finally dispense with the self-made man myths, the bootstrap mythology, and I cannot wait to hear from you all in the comments on this one. We keep hearing about Elon Musk's effort to make the government more efficient. That's the claim, right? Even though we know that's not what's happening, as evidenced by numerous reports showing that Elon's DOGE continues to quietly delete the spending cuts it celebrates publicly because they are riddled with errors. Oh, and the fact that this billionaire with numerous conflicts of interest is not putting his hand into the government out of the kindness of his own heart, but because it is never enough for these people. Republicans champion this clown show publicly on the news while talking about how important it is to reduce the size of government, often speaking with contempt for the government, even while they hold massively powerful positions within it. As most of us know, it is all disingenuous. Republicans, conservatives, wealthy people, they don't actually hate the government. They recognize its value, particularly when it comes to enriching themselves. And that's the story we have today from the Washington Post. Quote, Elon Musk's business empire is built on $38 billion in government funding. Government infusions at key moments helped Tesla and SpaceX flourish, boosting Musk's wealth. So the one man responsible for dismantling agencies that help our most vulnerable has built his wealth by relying on government handouts while simultaneously deriding government programs that save people's lives. Let's go through a few of the most important points in this article and then put it into context with what's happening today and Elon's coup and what it means for you. Reading from the reporting, quote, over the years, Musk and his businesses have received at least $38 billion in government contracts, loans, subsidies, and tax credits, often at critical moments, a Washington Post analysis has found, helping seed the growth that has made him the world's richest person. The payments stretch back more than 20 years. Nearly 2/3 of the $38 billion in funds have been promised to Musk's businesses in the past 5 years. In 2024 alone, federal and local governments committed at least $6.3 billion to Musk's companies, the highest total to date. 20 years. 20 years of funding from the government to aid him in his status as the world's richest person. And the reporters they note that this is only based on contracts that are publicly available. So anything that involves classified intelligence is not publicly known. So they note that these figures are surely larger than what they're stating here. Continuing with some of their reporting, quote, the Post found nearly a dozen other local grants, reimbursements, and tax credits where the specific amount of money is not public. An additional 52 ongoing contracts with 7 government agencies, including NASA, the Defense Department, and the General Services Administration, are on track to potentially pay Musk's companies an additional $11.8 billion over the next few years, according to the Post's analysis. We're talking grants, loans, tax credits, and not just tax credits directly for Elon's companies, but Elon also benefits from the federal government providing a tax credits for Americans who buy electric vehicles. The $7,500 federal tax credit helps make his cars more affordable, making Americans more willing to buy them, thus helping Elon. As we've seen recently, many people are getting rid of their Teslas, and this is a smart move because it is one way that we can hurt Elon Musk and reduce his power. But if we look at this chart in the article, we can see how tax credits kept Tesla afloat. Without the credits, they would not have been profitable. In fact, as you see there in 2020, without the credits, they would have lost $718 million, quote. They would have been totally in the red if it were not for the incentives, said Alan Jen, an assistant professor at the Electric Vehicle Research Center at the Institute of Transportation Studies. Quote, that is the thing that has really kept them afloat. But Elon, through DOGE, with his cadre of undeveloped frontal lobes, is entering federal agencies, including agencies where he has ongoing contracts and thus major conflicts of interest, and shuttering them. This all the while telling you that he has your best interest in mind, that this is a selfless effort to save the American taxpayer. But I'm hoping that you're able to see through this. As with the budget fight, we see that the Republicans do not want to reduce spending. They are not actually concerned about the deficit. No, they just don't want to spend money on programs like Medicaid, SNAP, or other public services and programs. They want to spend money on tax breaks for the wealthy and corporations. They want to spend on tax credits that keep billionaire businesses afloat. There is always more money for billionaires and corporations, but you? Well, you're the one who needs to fend for yourself or prove that you are worthy enough to receive the bare minimum. And listen, yesterday I did a video on the House budget resolution, which did in fact pass last night. It's unfortunate. It's not the end though. It's disappointing. The fight isn't over. Look at this chart from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities related to the Republican budget. The Republican plan is to cut Medicaid by $880 billion and SNAP by $230 billion, while giving the top 1% $1.1 trillion in tax cuts. They are taking from the most vulnerable to pay for tax benefits for those who already have more than enough. As noted there on the chart, those making $743,000 or more annually. How much would it take you to make $734,000? If you have to think about it, if it takes you a bit, if you have to tally up some years, I really hope that you're not out here defending Elon Musk. And if you're sitting here thinking, no, they're making those cuts to Medicaid and SNAP to save us from the soaring national debt. It's to cut the deficit. Republican Thomas Massie just last night voted against the House budget resolution because he said it will explode the deficit by billions of dollars. The budget will worsen inequality and poverty and explode the deficit. This isn't about saving you money. It's about punishing the poor and working class and giving even more cash to those who don't need it. You know, I was reviewing my student loan balances last night, as one does, and I was recently lucky enough to pay off 2 of my loans. I still have a few more remaining, and I was looking at which one to target next, and it looks like it will be the one that has accumulated $5,000 in interest. Think of that. $5,000 in interest. Pennies to someone like Elon, who has benefited for 20 years from government assistance. Inevitably, when I do talk about billionaires, people who spend their days defending billionaires who don't care if they live or die, come into my comments and tell me that I'm just jealous. But the thing is, poor people don't dream of hoarding as much wealth as possible and infiltrating the government to shut down investigations into their businesses. They dream about being able to pay their bills on time, while simultaneously having some semblance of free time and time spent with their family. They dream of not thinking about survival every waking moment of every day. They dream about having the stability and freedom that money provides to make choices that allow them to create the life they envision for themselves. So this isn't about jealousy, it's about justice. While Elon pads his pockets with more money than he could ever need, people are dying in the streets, being evicted from their apartments, panicked about where their next meal comes from. So you can say whatever you want to and about me, but my solidarity is always with them and not a cartoonish billionaire supervillain who is intent on making all of our lives more difficult. What do you think? Call and let me know with a fewer than 3-minute voicemail, at which point you will be cut off at 202-656-1509, or send an email to idoubitit@dollemore.com. You can and definitely should subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Or if you'd like to support my work, you can click the join button and become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, or by going to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Follow me on social media. I am at Brittany E. Page everywhere, but I am not on the Nazi website. Take care, and I'll see you next time.